Dan, thank you. I'm going to approach many of your themes from a different point of view, looking at research I'm familiar with and leaders that I've worked with, and thinking about it from a kind of brass tacks in the organization, everyday point of view, as well as looking at some brain research, which is completely synergistic with what you've said. So let me jump in and remind people, when I'm talking about a system, when Dan talks about a system, we're basically talking about an entity with lawful patterns, lawful relationships. It might be a family. There are systems at every level. It might be a business or an organization. It could be the environment. It could be the economy. These are all systems, varieties of systems. And systems thinking adopts the same principles, such as the importance of feedback loops and so on, in analyzing all of these. In a very practical sense, if you look at the competencies that define and are found in outstanding leaders, leaders who really get results, leaders who people love to work for, one of the abilities you see is what's called organizational awareness. It's really systems thinking within the organization. One of the ways, very practical ways it shows up is in terms of a leader who knows how decisions are made elsewhere, who to talk to, who to persuade or influence to nudge things in the direction that you're trying to have it go. That's just a variety of social intelligence, and social intelligence, which Dan mentioned, can be seen as systems thinking interpersonally, understanding how our group works, understanding how the company works, and so on. It's a kind of a higher order empathy. It's not one-on-one, it's more a we empathy, a sense of us as in relationship to each other and what are the patterns that matter. So we're talking about a three-level synchrony here. This is the maximal integration in a leader. You've got self-awareness and self-regulation, your self embodied, as Dan said. You've got the empathy and relationship, the self in relationship to others. This is the beginning of the we. And then you have the selves, as Dan said, the selves in the sense of a verb, where you're all in relationship dynamically within an organization. And then you talked, Dan, about the importance of having a vision from inside. And this is, in my own work, I find this really extremely important in leadership, that you can reach inside and get a sense of what your value orientation is, what you actually believe, and articulate it in a way that moves other people, that really resonates with them. These are leaders that people feel very close to, very aligned with, motivated by. And I saw a study, I was telling Dan about this the other day, it was very interesting. They asked leaders to say what the mission of their organization was. What was their vision for the organization? Some leaders articulated the kind of vision that Dan was talking about in terms of a greater good. Our mission is to help the community. Our mission is to do some of the things that Dan mentioned, sustainability and so on. These were highly visionary leaders. Some, however, just couldn't do it. We're just trying to do the best we can. We want to beat the other companies. That was as far as they could get. But what was interesting was that when they looked in the brains of these leaders, they found that within the prefrontal cortex, which was the area they were looking at, there was more internal coherence in the brain of the leaders who had the inspiring vision. And we can extrapolate, we don't have the evidence, but this probably means something Dan has hinted at, which is that there's more coherence overall in the brain of those particular kinds of leaders. So leaders who inspire, they're the ones that people love. They're the ones, for example, that younger people want to work for. They're the ones who have a vision that you can feel good about. I call it resonant leadership, where you act in alignment with your own values. You can state that in a shared mission that really speaks to the hearts of others. And it keeps the needs of the greater good as the positive goal.